minutes will take a light beam to travel from the sun to our planet Earth? You have 10 seconds.
Oh boy, yeah, I'm gonna have to take a guess here. I'm not sure about this one. I'm gonna say half or 0.0005 minutes.
All right, David, you wanna give a guess?
I'm gonna say, I don't know, 7 minutes.
All right, David, you are really close. It's
Oh.
8.3 minutes, but I'm gonna give this to David. It was close, so David, you have a
Yeah.
dollar for this one.
UFC is the ultimate fighting champion. So UFC is kind of like the NFL. It's like it's a league that is going to pay for a lot of your stuff. It's a league that's going to pay you to fight. MMA is just the fighting.
Okay, the sport. So it's like MMA is like football and UFC is like the NFL.
I'm a coach at UFC Fit Silverado here in Las Vegas, Nevada. I also train private clients from my boxing gym and other fitness centers around Vegas.
But so I ended up going to SWIC for a little bit, so which is a community college, and honestly, that burned me out right there. It was horrible, and I was wrestling. That was my Greco season, so it was either nationals or finals. I trained with Tasha Marzola, who was an amazing, beautiful woman, and she was from out of Master Tony's and also in Fight Girls seasons. And she recommended that I go there. And so after I left LA Boxing, I went on to train with Master Taro. And Muay Thai I just had a love for it.
So what's the advantage of Muay Thai compared to Jiu-Jitsu?
Well, they're both totally different. Jiu-Jitsu on the ground is like a live chess match, is what I like to call it. Whereas Muay Thai, you use all types of different techniques while standing, and Jiu-Jitsu is based solely off the ground.
So I think it's particularly important for young people at the height of their earning potential to be able to learn how to start making that money work for them and learning things about the way different entities interact with their money. We, for instance, talk about in our education workshops, we talk about the ways that money grow.
Financial literacy. That's a complicated question. I'll give anybody that's listening right now the secrets that you'll find in every book. You increase your income, decrease your expenses, and you invest it different.
December 14, 2009, to serve as an infrared wavelength astronomical space telescope. While scanning the entire celestial sky in infrared light about 1.5 times. It captured more than 2.7 million images of objects in space.
People starting out, the Google Data Analytics Professional Certificate is a really good start. Like, it introduces you from the very beginning with great teachers for a low cost. Most of what's initially being built is based on ChatGPT, which comes from OpenAI, the company, right?
Right.
They haven't been transparent about what data they're using and how they're using it.
You're a LinkedIn expert. For people who don't know you,
ranked amongst the top 20 in the world. My company, Linkability, helps professionals, individuals and companies, their experience and their in Auckland, New Zealand. Back when I was very young, and publishing roles as a magazine editor, feature writer, and now we work entirely with LinkedIn. Sitting down and writing my book about LinkedIn.
I'm a big fan, but for people who don't know you, you
grew up in Seattle, Washington. Started wrestling at the age of 10. So all through school, wrestled for the United States Army. Spent 6 years in the U.S. Army.
Call yourself the natural, and how did you become the natural?
Well, I my very first UFC was UFC 13, where I won the heavyweight tournament.
Those expendable movies, among many others.
Yeah.
And November 10th, the first spacecraft to visit Mercury was NASA's Mariner 10, which imaged about 45% of the surface.
Sometimes people ask, well, I'm broke. Well, how am I supposed to find joy in this process? Well, it comes down to your values, which is why that's my first book. You have to first think about your values. And of course, basic safety is a natural value for everyone. But beyond that, what are your values and how can you arrange your budget to meet your values. So, but in that conversation, we talk a little bit more about your values, your background, your understanding with money, what your current financial status is, as well as I'm educating you on how to be an investor, things to keep in mind as an investor, the nuances that they don't often tell you, even how I included in my strategy, how long I was going to invest based on the tax nuances.
Well, there are various types of life insurance, but one thing that I've learned through this industry is that there's a misconception about life insurance and what its purpose is. So my mission with this company and No Family Left Behind is, first of all, to demystify all the falsehoods that go around about life insurance.
My events go year round. Opening a health facility, we will be part of that operations. We will be at the West Las Vegas Library. We will be in Henderson at the Water Street Pavilion. We will have flag raisings, and we've already had flag raisings in Las Vegas, Henderson. Now we're also going to Juneteenth 201, which will take the history from 1806 and come forward a few more years. Times have changed, I admit that. Years ago when I first started working, we couldn't even wear a pair of slacks to work. So we started off that you had to have your toes in your shoes. You couldn't show your toes. You had to have nylon agreement called, as I say, the Moulin Rouge agreement, which eliminated the discrimination. People of African descent were able to go into the casino and gamble. They were able to meet.
Don't wait until you need something to try to start doing it. Be proactive. If you're making, let's just use a round figure. If you're making $100, put some of that away for a rainy day. We do not have to spend everything that we make. Need to understand that you can live off of less. A lot of times we give into our wants and our desires when our needs are just enough. A lot of people get credit cards just to get credit cards. Credit cards needs to make you money. I haven't used the debit card in forever. I use my credit card for everything because I'm responsible. I only suggest doing this if you're responsible with credit. A way to make additional money is use your credit cards for the cash back, for the reward.
Managers, finance managers, even safety industries. So all those are found on LinkedIn, and we can always reach out to them either by an ad or by finding their profile, connecting with them, or using some scraping tools to get their email, reaching out to them, and then maybe even cold calling them. So there's always lots of different ways to market to those audiences.
Right? You have to go through these struggles. And it's okay. It's part of life and it's part of growing pains. There's a lot of growing pains that you will go through, not only personally, professionally, sometimes spiritually, right? And it's okay. But understand that how you start is not how you finish. What's going on in your job market? How is your industry changing? Are you really utilizing LinkedIn? Are you looking at, great shows? Are you connected with people like MD who try to give out exposure to other young professionals? What can I do now to get to the next level? How does the job market look in the next 5 years, 6 years? What kind of certifications that I need to make me a stronger candidate, right? So those are things you can help yourself now, even though if your job is secure or if you don't think any layoffs are happening. Always put your ear to the street.
I think that is very important before you, you have to establish your goal. Like in any business, you have to establish your goal. What is it? You want to do sales on your website. You want people to call you for bookings. You want whatever you want, you have to establish that goal. So it's important to start that journey with some confidence, but the confidence will not come just because you tell yourself you're great. You have to have a few people telling you, you know what, you're good and I would pay you for this. Just I don't have the money right now, but that's another story. I would pay you for that. And I think you should go out there and offer this service to other people.
So I started out with SEO as my main business with a company called Submit Express. other people, there are also different type of people. You can go here on this page called Wikipedia Notability Guidelines. If you disclose your paid editor, then you have to submit the page for an admin approval. What to do. If I click on unpaid, it's gonna say copy paste this code in your user page. So we're gonna do that right now. And this time I'm gonna do it manually, because not always it grabs the correct information, and sometimes you have to do it manually. So when I hired a company to do it for me, then I started referring some of my clients to them to make a page. And then eventually I kind of learned, so the admins of the website, the owners of the website don't do that.
Well, what happens if you get sick? What happens if you die? What happens if you become disabled and you're not able to work? Either at the same level you were, you're never able to work again. So when we talk about risk management with folks, what we say is now we need to look at your insurance programming outside of what you may have at work. We all have the ability to achieve our goals, to reach our dreams, if we stay committed and are disciplined to overcoming the obstacles that life will place in front of us on the path moving forever forward. That's why we call it Forever Forward.
I moved to Las Vegas about 3.5 months ago to be with my parents. Gladly. This picture right here, you see in the dead center, that's an actress. Her name is Danielle Bussetti.
I had him for a 1-hour podcast, and he's super nice. He's very...
There it is right there.
Oh, wow.
Yes, some of my videos, my most recent one, Muralism, it was about this nonprofit organization as well. And yeah, the body painting extravaganza, that was a collaboration I did with Karina Taylor.
It's great what you're doing.
The German filmmaker as well, who made a short film about.
I grew a lot during the pandemic because I had time to put time, like you said, long.
There is a video, as a movie, as a good short film that I really enjoyed. And now the kids that were struggling, going through college, dealing with bullies and professors that were just uneducated about the spectrum. And yeah.
With financial literacy, they say, you got a budget. What happens when someone doesn't have money to budget? So you have to start there first to say, okay, these are some things that you can do to bring in some money first. And then we'll start talking about how to have a spending plan and going forward. So financial literacy for me has always been to help people who have not had a lot be able to at least get something to start on that path to not only surviving, but eventually thriving. On the dream sheet, what I did tell you is that we didn't go out to eat for 2 years. We didn't go on vacation for 2 years.
Go out to eat for 2 years?
For 2 years, we didn't go out to eat. We did not go on vacation.
Well, I mean, especially when it comes to math and science, there's always a dire need for math and science teachers. So, like in my case, I didn't even go through a formal education program. I was in my just regular college coursework for economics, and a school in the neighborhood really needed a math teacher. So I started showing up there my junior, senior years of college. While in school for economics, I was just going to this school a few times a week, just helping out in the science classes. And then by the time I graduated, they had an opening. So they brought me in. Start a YouTube channel. So I started putting these videos out, explaining the concepts that we were doing in class. I actually have more videos than this. It's just that a lot of them are unlisted because they contain actual coursework from the certificate, from the data analytics certificate.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't want to have them public. I wanted to only have them available to my classmates.
I would say don't give up, because the only time that you lose is when you give up. So you just keep, going forward, and know that there's going to be there's valleys and hills. We're definitely in a valley right now. So you just got to persevere until you're in that hill. And a lot of people do give up while they're in the valley, but the successful people, persevere until you reach that hill. So my eyes is just keep your eyes on the hill. The best one to just start out with would just be Python, because you can do whatever you want in Python. Like if you only learn Python, you'll be set for life. And for other stuff, you might need, if you want to do more graphical stuff, or you want to do, more website design, you might need to know R or HTML. But starting out, just learn Python.
Where you have
more complicated tasks, I think what you'll have is AI augmented human analysts. And this is just, and I think AI augmentation is something that humans should be thinking about in pretty much every sphere. So I can just imagine there's going to be an analyst, they're using a tool, and the tool will have this probably built into it where they maybe open a cell in the tool, and the cell has like some kind of AI SQL generator. And there are some notebook tools out there like Count and Hex which have this already. And the person, instead of writing a long SQL script themselves, they kind of describe to it what they want it to do. But because they know SQL and they know the tables and the data, when it generates the SQL, okay, they can quickly edit it to fix, because it won't do it right, but it'll have generated the many lines of code that would have taken.
With ChatGPT, we already don't need the like junior developers and developers of the starter level. So currently, compatible and like people who want to get a job, it's have more higher requirements. And if in the game development you can only like change color of the buttons, so currently this is not work. Some families, like and parentings have own vision on your life, but your life is your life.
Yes.
And just do what you like. And one of the tip, do what you like. This is not mean drinking beer and eat chips. You need a real thing for it. So thinking about it.
When it comes to my graphic designs, the one goal that I always have is just want to showcase it to some of the most famous people in the entire world, particularly like the graphic design I made of Gordon Ramsay. I really want to show it to him since he's my all-time favorite chef.
Autism. How did you find out that you have some autism? How do you deal with it on a daily basis?
How I deal with my autism on a daily basis is that I don't even think that I have autism. I just think that I'm just a person with no disability whatsoever, that I can succeed in this world. I can succeed in society. In closing, with my thumbnails, unlike some other YouTubers, with my thumbnails, I make them stand out. I make them shine. I always like to take them to the next level as much as possible.
Japanese philosophy, and it's the idea that there are 4 important questions you need to answer for yourself. First is, what do you love to do? Second is, what are you good at? The third is, what is there a need for in the world? And the fourth is, what will people pay for? We wanted to give people who didn't have an analytics background, didn't have analytics training, a very accessible, certificate-based way to gain some skill, gain some credibility. I mean, you can go through that program, and like you did, MD, I think you start with a base of knowledge, and by the end, you are ready to join a company as an analyst.
Right now, I have been using ChatGPT for some time. So it's getting really smarter about my business.
Okay.
Because I've been feeding a lot of data to it. Even though they don't have access to the internet, but because the data I've been feeding to it, so it gets smarter. I don't have to say too many stuff.
Oh wow.
The AI gets it. They can take whatever data and show you a chart in a matter of seconds.
Maybe you still need like you said, someone to proofread it, to check if there's no mistakes, or maybe make sure the data is good before feeding it.
Well, those are sort of thing I think you still need a human to audit it, right? To verify. You don't let the machine just grab any data.
Yes.
So there's always a human factor.
So for a young person out there, a young girl, a young man who wants to become a special agent or who want to build a successful business, what would you tell them?
I would tell them to make a plan now and follow it, right? But also be open to that plan changing. Just like anything, you know, they say if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. And, you know, I think that it's nothing wrong with having a plan, even if it changes. So, you know, just focus on that. If you want to go into, you know, this career, write down what the steps that it's going to take to achieve that, right? You're going to have a good resume. You want to make sure your resume, you know, qualifies you for the job, right? So take some time to figure out how to do that, right? Reach out to me. I will be happy to help you with your resume and like having those keywords, right? They have two different positions. They have special agent and they have the uniform officer. So uniform officer is going to be based in DC. You're going to be working at the White House. It's basically kind of like beat cop type of work. And it's just at the White House in DC. So that's where you will be based. With the agent, the special agent, you can kind of be based anywhere in the country.
What I recommend to people that they do is write down, so give themselves like 1 hour and write down 10 video ideas, which to a lot of people seems like too many. It's like, oh my gosh, I can't even think of one video idea right now. But there is this psychological phenomenon wherein if you set an expectation that's way higher than you think you're capable of achieving, you'll rise to it, or at minimum, you'll clear the bar that you thought you had. So take an hour, write down 10 video ideas. That might only take 1 minute. Write a bunch of ideas down, and then you can take that list and start to cross-reference with some things to check the validity. So ChatGPT is honestly a great tool for this kind of thing because it is it's all language model processing. Its whole deal is to process meta trends and data. Honestly, I don't think there's a right answer or a wrong answer as long as what you're doing is resulting in really good content. Like at the end of the day, you can have metadata so lined up and tweaked, you can have a marketing budget, but if your video is boring or just bad, people won't watch it no matter what.